Hello, welcome to Mountain Craft Studio. My name's Christine. Come on in and I'll show you what I've been working on. Hi. Since we met last, we have someone new that's moved into the studio. My parents have reached the point where their health is not so great, and they're both 80, and I did not want them going out to their barn to feed a barn cat that showed up earlier in the spring. As you can tell, Gladys is not a feral barn cat by any means. She's actually super, super friendly and sweet. I have her out here in the studio because I think it's having yet another cat in the house is going to be too much for my oldest cat, which is Ethel, and she's turned 18. Her health isn't all that great either. She's probably the equivalent of 80. So Gladys has just become a permanent resident out here in the studio. It's kind of working out. She's actually much more well-behaved than Agnes was. So she's not doing too bad. The cat hair is really the only issue. So for right now, I just have quilts draped over the furniture so that she doesn't scratch or get too much hair all over permanently into the furniture. And I try to keep her away from some of the quilting stuff, which of course, you know, if you quilt and you have a cat, you know that those two are just glued to each other. So we'll see. Eventually she'll move into the house, but for now, this is the right arrangement. She's too sweet to be outside in the cold in a barn, which was our plan at first, but we didn't realize how friendly she was. So within 24 hours of bringing her home, my husband had moved her into his heated workshop, but there's no windows there, so I kind of felt bad. Cats like sunbeams, so here we are in the studio. We'll see how this goes today. I've never filmed with her in the room, so hopefully she will, now that she's made her appearance, she'll wander off and do her thing. She's kind of funny. It took her probably a month to, she's always been friendly and would come up to you and everything else, but it took her about a month to want to sit in my lap, and now that's all she wants to do. So we'll see how this goes. I wanted to start off kind of catching up on cross stitch. It's been a while since I've done a full Flosstube video. Last time we talked, I think I was working on the Jane Parsons sampler, which is, I was doing in wool, some Renaissance dyeing, does natural dyeing, or did natural dyeing. They're no longer in business, but I'm doing Jane Parsons in wool, and this is how far I have gotten on her. I kind of set her aside after the holidays. I haven't done tons of stitching between my parents being in and out of the hospital, and then my granddaughter is very athletic. She's into every sport that there is. She's just one of those kids, you can tell she's just naturally graceful with it and naturally talented at it. So it's been really fun to go to all of her basketball games. This most recently, before that it was volleyball, and then during the summer it's softball. But it's fun to watch her because not only is she just athletically kind of gifted, but she's really competitive too. So, which is not, I couldn't care less. I'm not a competitive person, even a little bit, but it's fun to watch that someone who is, and for them to actually, you know, get some enjoyment out of that. It's fun. It's so fun to watch. I really lose interest in sports after college. I'm not into pro sports at all, but I'm not a big huge college fan either. But we took our granddaughter last weekend to the high school regional, and those girls like played for real. Like, so it was fun to watch the next ball game that my granddaughter, who's only in 4th grade at this point, but she was playing on a 5th grade team. It was fun to watch her be much more aggressive at the next game. But I'm not sure we did the right thing there, but whatever. So I haven't had a tremendous amount of time to do stitching. There's a lot of things going on in the evenings in that, which is when I usually do my stitching. So I nowhere near the goals that I had set. But that's okay. Sometimes family comes first. Last fall, I had, or actually November, I guess it was, I went on a retreat, a hand quilting retreat, and it is held every year in Shipshewana, or that's where we've done it. And Shipshewana is an Amish community in Indiana. And we generally stay at the Farmstead Inn. And if you've ever been there, you know it's like a white building with a black roof. It looks very farmhouse style, that modern farmhouse style. And it's usually decorated up in fall, getting ready. This time we were there when they were transitioning from fall to winter for Christmas. But I've always thought that the Gather Inn from Plum Street Samplers looks like that. This building looks like the building that we have our quilting bee in. And so I plan to stitch this. I'm going to change this to an Amish buggy because it's pretty close already. And then I'm going to change the background. Instead of pumpkins, I'm going to make that into a quilt. I thought that would be fun. To commemorate kind of those gatherings. I've gone there for lots of quilt gatherings and things like that. And there's there used to be, unfortunately it has stopped now, but there was a quilt show every year. I didn't go to it generally, but because it was really, really packed. But there's a quilt barn trail. There's all kinds of things that they do. The whole community does, and flowers that looks like quilting and that sort of the stuff. So I thought it was perfect to commemorate. And I went ahead and started it while I was there. I didn't get a lot done, but I'm getting there. I'm using the called for flosses. Some are DMC, some are the fancy flosses. The DMC, while I'm discussing DMC, I'll explain and I'll show you here in a little while. I think I might, after 40 years of doing it, my DMC on bobbins, I might be switching. Crazy, I know, crazy. But I found the perfect cabinet to house my threads in. I do not like having them out in the open. Having worked in museums and that sort of in textiles, I know how quickly they fade. It's amazing how quickly they fade. And so I've always wanted to keep them in the dark, which I have. But in order to, you can't really hang these in something, but I found a cabinet that I can lay them down that will hold everything, all of my flosses all in one spot. So I think that's fantastic. Actually, I'll just probably put a picture of it in here instead of walking you over there. It is, I think it was originally sold at Hobby Lobby. I actually found it, a friend of mine actually sent it to me and said, hey, go check this out. It was on Facebook Marketplace. So I went and picked it up. It was great. Someone had already put labels on it to label it and everything. It's fantastic. So that was the next project I worked on. Then at the beginning of the year, I decided, then we finished the room back here, and if you haven't seen it, I did post a separate video on that's now the Loom Room back in the back with all the fiber arts type stuff back there. And I decided that I was going to start the blue flowers from nature to my needle. And if you look at this closely, you can see it has llama, alpaca, sheep. Or actually, that's the sheep. That's actually an Angora goat, I believe. And then all the plants are plants that are used in fiber arts. There's a, I think around there somewhere. I have to look at it again. I know, oh, there they are. Up at the top, there's silkworms on there too. You can barely see them. But I wanted, because of you can barely see them and you can barely see the sheep, I chose to go with a different background fabric. So I had this in my stash. And it's called Marbled Khaki from XJU Designs. And I went ahead and started in the corner with the sheep just to be able to see how well that was gonna, and I do believe it's gonna stand out pretty well. And it gives me a reason to use this fabric. I had it in my stash, but I wasn't ever really sure what I was gonna do with it. So kind of worked out well. I think it's gonna work. But I thought that would be perfect for my fiber art studio. Kind of has all those animals. I used to have all of those animals. I had goats, but they weren't Angora goats. But so it kind of reminds me of all my critters. It is done with DMC as well. I changed, what did I change? Actually, I didn't change anything. I haven't changed anything yet, but I think there's one color that's going to be very close to that khaki color. 3072 is very close, so I may end up changing that one. When I get to that point where I use that, I'll make that decision. But this one, I'm just working on this one kind of whenever I get my two main focus projects finished for the month, for each month. So I'm working on the Mary Bars sampler, which is by Stacy Nash Primitives. She's a very big girl, and it is absolutely my favorite colors. Absolutely stunning in person. So I decided I was going to do 1 page a month this year, and so far I've stuck with that. I'm almost done with February, except there's a lot of wording over one, and I'm going to change what the phrase is, so I'm going to skip over that, I've decided, and I'll come back to it because I haven't charted what I'm going to change it to. Because, life. But I am loving this. I love that I can do a little motif and feel accomplished, even though it's, I still have a long, long way to go. But it's working out. And I think that my idea of doing 1 page a month is good. There's a couple of pages that are really going to be really dense stitching. So I'm going to allow myself 2 months down here with that section, because that's going to be pretty intense. So for each of those pages, I'm going to allow myself 2 months to get those finished. And if I keep up on it, I will be done by the end of the year. So I'm enjoying that very much. Love these colors. Let's see if I can pull them up for you. Like, if I were to design a sampler of my favorite colors, this would be it. So pretty. All of them. I love that blue. The reds. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And, of course, there's Schneckly, which is the main color, which I absolutely love, too. Love it, love it. So that's been fun to work on. The fabric, what did I choose? Actually, I do know. It was the I ordered this as a kit from Country Sampler, so it was whatever they sent. Probably the, whatever was called for, which I don't see. Oh, 36 count weeks parchment. So my main focus project for the year is Fancy and ABC by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I have it here on my Hearthside Craftwork stand. I'm gonna go ahead and do a review on this and try to get it uploaded soon. So far, I absolutely love it. So, but it is something that I do during the day whenever I come out here and I have a free day and I want to sit with Gladys, and it's not getting as much attention as it needs, but hopefully I'll get some more free days here soon to be able to work on her. So the majority of my crafting time has been spent on these curtains. I'm doing 1930s style 2.5-inch squares. I'm doing 5 valances and 2 sets of long curtains. These aren't actually sewn together yet. They're just blocks that are up there I was trying to figure out how many rows I need to make a full curtain. I think I have enough blocks made up that I can do one more row of each long curtain. That's my plan anyway. It is taking absolutely forever. So much slicing, dicing, and sewing back together. So while I was at the hand quilting retreat in Shipshewana, there is there are a few antique shops. There's one that has a lot of quilty type things in it, and I found this amazing quilt that I'll go ahead and put a picture of in here. I actually blocked people getting in the door while I picked that quilt up and took it to the cash register. It was literally right behind the door, and I stopped everybody from coming in because I had to have it. It was absolutely glorious. I love it. I've been wanting to make one of these for years. I saw one at, there's a place in Alabama that does a quilt show every year. It's just this really small little historic building, and they do it every year. And it's fun to go because they try to have local style quilts. And I saw one in that sugarloaf pattern, not the same layout, but the sugarloaf block anyway. And I've wanted to make one ever since. And when I saw this, I thought, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So it has since, I've since taken it to the cabin, and that's where it's going to live. It looks right at home there. I'll stick a few pictures in, as you can see. But while I was there, I also found some quilt blocks. And so the Civil War quilter goes to our hand quilting retreat as well. And we joke that we're twins, that we're separated at birth. We like all the same things. And so she had picked up some quilt blocks with this fabric. Isn't this gorgeous? And when she came back to the hotel, she showed them to me and said what she got. And she said, there's still some more out there. I'm like, I'm getting some. So I think she bought 4 maybe. I went back and I have purchased 6. So we have challenged ourselves. We're going to both design a quilt around these blocks and bring it back this year, now 2024, and show everybody what we've come up with. But like, I love that fabric. I'd buy a bolt of that fabric if I could. Love it. So that'll be fun. It'll be something to work on. I also picked up, I can't remember, I think it was another shop, but I found this and I thought it was too cute to pass up. How cute is that? It's like a little thing for your slippers. Isn't that fun? Very rough. Looks like homespun linen to me, almost. It's definitely a rougher, maybe like sacking or something like that it's made out of, or toweling. There's some blue stripes on it here, but that was cute. I like the colors. I've done some shopping for quilt stuff. I have not bought much quilt stuff in years simply because I didn't need it. Still don't necessarily need it, but I've bought a few things. I need, because I'm draping the quilts over the furniture now. I've decided I'm going to make a quilt. Coridander came out with this quilt. I can't think of the name of it now. I'll put it in here. And I'll put up a picture of it because I have it on digital. But I decided I'm going to make that, but I'm going to make each of the stars a different color, a really nice saturated bright color for the room back there because, you know, it's a fiber art studio. Makes sense. I also, my local quilt shop does some really great sales and stuff occasionally. And while they were doing that, I had to pick up, most recently, I had to pick up this kit. This is Temperance by Betsy Chuchian. The fabrics are glorious. I love it. I've always loved that block, so that'll be a good one for back there. It's a small 48.5 by 59, so that kind of works for being in a chair. Then I also picked up on a D-stash. I picked up, this was a country sampler kit. So Tammy, who I believe on Instagram is Basket Nut, maybe? I can't remember now. But she was selling a few kits that she had in her stash, but I love this. Isn't that gorgeous? Love it. Doing that. So my friend that has Luana Mary Quilt Designs had posted that she had some new designs come out through Connecting Threads. And so I went and downloaded some patterns, but then I also noticed that one of them that I've been wanting to do was the kit was on sale. So this is Lucky Nines from Connecting Threads. See if I can get it to focus a little better. I love this. Isn't that adorable? The fabrics are fantastic. So that's going to be fun. It'll be a good one for back there too. I love that simple 9-patch design. The first real quilt I made for my mom out of real quilt. I mean, not like my first beginner. I don't know what I'm doing trying to figure this out quilt. Who was it? It was, Kansas Troubles. And it was a similar, but the blocks there was no sashing. And every block was a different, color. And it's still one of my favorite quilts. It's still just, I just love a simple 9-patch. 9-patch, log cabin, whatever. The simpler, the better for me. And let's see. I also purchased an antique quilt, which I'm going to probably just put photos in here because it's I don't want to hold it up. It has silks in it and they can shatter pretty easily, but I just want to show it to you. I think it's one of the coolest things I've found in a long time. Definitely 1840s in style. I love the deep, dark, funky colors. It's just, I was drawn to it. So I have also purchased some old fabrics that I'm going to use to start updating some of those and repairing some of the quilts I've talked about in the past. So that is on my radar. It's all going to start as soon as I get the curtains finished. We're working on a lot of those projects. we'll go from there. Kind of this whole year, a lot of people went and planned and decided they were going to do all kinds of stuff. And I have decided I'm not making any plans. I'm not planning to do a lot of traveling this year. I'm hoping to just try to enjoy life as much as I can with family members for as long as I can, and go from there. So that's kind of my update. I hope you're having a grand time wherever you are. It's snowing today. I'm probably going to go curl up in front of the wood stove with Gladys and do some handwork today. And I will see you again soon.